Hello my dear students in 4th primary. Today we will take the last lesson in unit 4. زي ما احنا كلنا عارفين in the last 4 units كل كلامنا كان we were talking about the ant colonies and the number of the ants in their colonies and so on. Today we will take the last lesson which is talking about the ant colonies. Here in our lessons of this unit we learned how to calculate عرفنا ازاي to find the perimeter and area of a rectangle and square, and we solved many problems and applications to them. However, if we need to calculate the perimeter and area of rectangle whose length is 3 times its width, or its width is less than twice its length, how will we think about it and how can we calculate it? This will be our focus. ده اللي هنركز عليه النهارده through our lesson 5, growing dimensions in unit 4. We will get to know how to use phrases like 2 times or 3 times and other phrases that we call multiplicative comparisons عشان to solve problems and applications on perimeter and area. Now let's start with the activity big ants, small ants in access on your book, page 186 in the school book. Let's see it all together. Here, as you see, in page 186 in your book, we will compare هنقارن between different lengths of various ant species. For example, the length of the Argentine ant is, like you see here, this is the Argentine ant. The length of Argentine ant is 3 millimeters, and the sugar ant is 15 millimeters. عايزين نعمل compare between these two lengths. How can we compare between them? We think what is the number to multiply by 3. هسأل نفسي هو 3 times what gives me 15? Yes, we will say that it is 5. Why? Because 5 times 3 gives me 15. هي مش 5 times 3 gives me 15? Okay, now that's why we can say that the length of Argentine ant is 5 times smaller than the length of the sugar ant. Okay? طيب, in the same way, I want you to try to write in your book 2 statements to compare between different ant species in this chart. I'll give you some time to write them, then we will be back again. Now let's see some of the examples you might have thought about. تعالوا نشوف examples اللي انتوا ممكن تكونوا فكرتوا فيها. We can say, for example, that the length of the ghost ant is 1 millimeter. As you see here, the ghost ant length بتاعه 1 millimeter. وال length of fire ant is 6 millimeter. ال fire ant 6 millimeter. تعالوا نعمل كده compare in the same way. What is the number that is multiplied by 1 عشان تديني 6؟ هسأل نفسي 1 times what gives me 6؟ Yes, 1 times 6 gives me 6. طب ده معناه ايه؟ ده معناه when we compare between them, I can say that the fire ant is 6 times longer than the ghost ant. The fire ant 6 times longer than the ghost ant. Okay, now we can compare between the fire ant and the pharaoh ant. Let's see, this is the fire ant, here 6 millimeter. The pharaoh ant is 2 millimeter. هسأل نفسي نفس السؤال. 2 times what equals 6? Yes, 2 times what equals 6? 3. Yes, 2 times 3 equals 6. يبقى 2 times 3 equals 6. طب ده معناه ايه؟ Yes, معناه إن الفارو ant 3 times. Yes, let's write it here. Pharaoh ants is 3 times. Yes, 3 times what? Smaller than the fire ant. 3 times smaller. The pharaoh ant 3 times smaller than the 3 times smaller than the fire ants. Okay, because this is 2 millimeter and this is 6 millimeters. So 2 times 3 6. That means إن فارو ants is 3 times smaller than the fire ants. Okay. And now this is the pharaoh ants. Now we have been using words like times in multiplicative comparison, which we will be using to solve various problems on perimeter and area. We will see this in the build activity, draw and solve on page 187 in the school book. Let's see it all together. Here in problem number 1, as you see, طب هو عايز مني ايه؟ عايزني ارسم rectangle الويدث بتاعي 1 unit and a length 3 times as long as the width. تعالوا نشوف كده. طيب يبقى انا هرسم rectangle. This is number 1. هرسم rectangle الويدث بتاعي 1 unit يبقى this is 1 واللينث 3 times as long as the width. يبقى أول حاجة عايزة أعملها إن أنا أحدد اللينث بتاعي قد إيه والويدث بتاعي قد إيه. طب دلوقتي أنا عارفة إن الويدث equals 1. طيب اللينث equals what؟ Yes 3 times what؟ ها 3 times 1. 3 times 1 equals what؟ Yes 3 times 1 equals 3. يبقى الويدث بتاعي 1 واللينث بتاعي 3 as you see here. طيب then what should I do؟ Yes, we can certainly calculate the perimeter والarea. طيب البريمتر اللي هو ايه؟ The perimeter equals to all the sides. كل السايدز الاوتسايد او ممكن احنا خدنا خلاص الرول بتاع البريمتر اللي هو ايه؟ length plus length plus width plus width, right؟ او length plus width times 2. يبقى ممكن اعمل البريمتر بتاعي length plus width times 2, right؟ Okay, هو 3 plus 1 4. 4 times 2 equals what? Yes, 4 times 2 equals 8 and this is my perimeter. 8 what? 8 units. طيب, now what should I do next? So the perimeter is 8 units. Also, what about the area? طيب احنا عارفين ان الarea equals length times width. يبقى الarea equals length times width. هو اللينث بتاعي equals what؟ 3 and my width is 1. يبقى 3 times 1 equals 3 and this is my area. طيب 3 what؟ Yes square units. 3 square units. ليه؟ لأن أنا دلوقتي بتكلم على area and not perimeter. يبقى perimeter 8 units, area 3 square units. Now let's move to problem number 2. Here's problem number 2. عايزني أعمل إيه في problem number 2. Here he wants me to draw a new rectangle on this grid. Okay, before using our knowledge of the first rectangle, the length of the new rectangle is 2 times as long as the first rectangle. والويدث بتاعي نفس الويدث بالظبط. يبقى أنا عندي الويدث بتاعي the same، يعني الويدث بتاعي 1 واللينث بتاعي كام؟ Yes. This means that the length of the new rectangle is 6 units. Why 6 units? Because 2 times 3 equals 6. يبقى length 1 الويدث 1 والlength 6. تعالوا نرسمه بقى على الجريد بتاعي. This is 1 2 3 4 5 6 and this is 1. يبقى الويدث بتاعي 1 as you see والlength بتاعي 6 as you see. يبقى here's 6. Of course this is 1 and this is 6. يبقى ده الريكتانجل الجديد بتاعي. So can you calculate the perimeter? What is the perimeter? Yes, we know that the perimeter is length plus width times 2. So perimeter equals length plus width times 2. يعني 6 plus 1 times 2. 7 plus 2 equals what? 14. Okay, this is my perimeter. Now, what about the area? To find the area equals length times width. تعالوا نكتب الرول بتاع الاريا. Area equals length times width. يعني ايه length times width؟ Length 6 times 1. 6 times 1 equals 6. And this is my area. طيب, as you have noticed, the area of the second rectangle, بصوا ال area of the second rectangle equals what? Equals 6. طيب, the area of the second rectangle is 6 square units. and the area of the first one is 3 square units. الاريا في الفيرست one كانت 3 square units. This means what? This means that the area of the second rectangle is 2 times as large as the area of the first one. قدها مرتين. The second rectangle is twice as large as the first one. السكند زي الفيرست أو قد الفيرست مرتين. Twice. Okay? That's why أهو الاريا twice the first one. Now let's move to problem number 3, and this is problem number 3. Problem number 3 says, what would the new length if the rectangle was 3 times as long as the first rectangle? 3 times as long, يعني 3 times اللينث بتاعه اللي هو 3 times 3. هو 3 times 3 gives me what? Yes, 3 times 3 gives me 9. يبقى اللينث بتاعي is 9, right? طيب, here we want to represent it as equation. Here we want to represent it as equation. هكتبها في equation ازاي؟ Yes, to represent it as equation ممكن أقول 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 9. ممكن أكتبها بطريقة تانية 3 times 3 gives me 9. The same answer. Okay, now let's move to problem number 5. دلوقتي هو problem number 5 عايزني أرسم الريكتانجل النيو ريكتانجل اللي هو اللينث بتاعه 9 والويدث the same 1. وبعدين to find the perimeter and area. تعالوا كده نرسمه على الجريد بتاعنا. يبقى هرسم 9 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 والويدث بتاعي 1. And this is 9 and this is 1. يبقى length 9 والويدث 1 length 9 والويدث 1. طيب عايزني اعمل ايه؟ عايزني اجيب الاريا and perimeter زي ما احنا متفقين. الاريا equals length times width. يعني what times what? Yes, 9 times 1. 9 times 1 equals what? Equals 9 and this is my area. تعال نشوف بقى البريمتر. Perimeter equals what? Yes, length plus width times 2. يبقى my perimeter is length plus width times 2. اللينث بتاعي equals what? 9. الويدث بتاعي equals what? 1. يبقى 9 plus 1 times 2. 10 times 2 equals 20 and this is my perimeter. I hope you understand this very well. Let's apply our learning on problem number 6. تعالوا نشوف مع بعض problem number 6. طيب here as you see this is problem number 6. طيب in problem number 6 هو عايز مني ايه؟ بيقول لي rectangle 5 cm wide. This is problem number 6. Okay, as you see. طيب 5 cm wide يعني الويدث بتاعي 5 cm and it is 4 times as long as it width. اللينث بتاعي 4 times as long as the width. Draw the rectangle with say the dimensions and find the area والperimeter. طيب يبقى أنا أول حاجة عايزة أرسم الريكتانجل بتاعي. طيب الويدث بتاعي 5 سنتيمتر واللينث equals what؟ اللينث هو قال لي 4 times الويدث يعني 4 times 5. 4 times 5 equals 20 and this is the length. يبقى الويدث بتاعي 5 واللينث بتاعي 20. This is 20 and 5 20 and 5. طيب how can I write the area؟ هكتب الرول بتاع الاريا اللي هو length times width يعني 20 times 5. 20 times 5 equals 100 square centimeter. Sorry, centimeter squared. Centimeter squared. ليه centimeter squared? Because this is 5 centimeter. يبقى the area is centimeter squared. طيب let's calculate the perimeter. البريمتر هيبقى ايه؟ I will add all the sides أو بالرول بتاعتي length times 2 plus width times 2. يعني ايه؟ يعني I can make it 20 times 2 plus 5 times 2. Okay, 20 times 2 يعني 40. 5 times 2 يعني 10. 40 plus 10 equals 50 centimeter and this is my perimeter. Now, after we have learned how to draw rectangle, if we know the relationship between the length and width بتوعه and how to calculate its area and perimeter, let's move back to the activity which is called picnic at the park. This is our activity, picnic at the park. On page 188, I will give you some time to read the activity and have a look on the problems before we get back again. Have you noticed how ants use this pheromones to lay a scent trail؟ لاحظنا ان ازاي الانتس بيمشوا ورا بعض بسبب الريحه اللي بتفرزها الانتس and follow each other in a line. Let's think how to solve these problems and use what we have learned about the area and perimeter. Here in problem number 1, تعالوا نشوف بقى in problem number 1. Here in colony A, ants walk around a blanket that is 2 meters wide. يبقى الويدث بتاعي كان 2 meters wide and this is my drawing. طيب and has an area of 12 square meters. يبقى هو مديني ايه؟ تعالوا نشوف كده هو مديني ايه. أول حاجة مديها لي الويدث بتاعي 2 meters وكمان مديني الاريا 12 square meters. طيب I think that you all know that the blanket has a rectangular shape. طبعا واضح قوي ان هو rectangular shape. And then we need to know this length and width in order to draw it. ما قبل ما ارسمها لازم اعرف اللينث والويدث بتوعي. In our problem the width is 2 meters. طيب انا عرفت خلاص ان الويدث بتاعي 2 meters and the area is 12 square meters او meter squared. يبقى انا here I have only الويدث والاريا as you see here. طيب if I want to get the length هعمل ايه؟ yes length بتاعي equals 12 divided by 2. هعمل 12 اللي هي الاريا divided by 2. مش احنا فاكرين التريانجل الاريا equals length times width. To get the length بعمل area divided by the width equals 6 meters. Now to calculate the perimeter we add all the sides أو هعمل 2 plus 6 times 2 right as you see here. يبقى to get the perimeter 6 plus 2 times 2 equals what? Equals 16 meters. Okay يبقى أنا خلاص عرفت إن الويدث 2 والlength 6 to get the perimeter 6 plus 2 times 2 which is equals 16 meters. Let's move to problem number 2. Problem number 2 in colony B blanket is twice as wide as colony A. يعني الوايد بتاعه أو الويدث بتاعه twice but the same length. تعالوا نشوف كده colony B. This is colony B. الويدث is what? 2 times 2. مش أنا قلت twice يعني 2 times 2 which is 4 meters. ده الويدث بتاعي. اوكي واللينث بتاعي as it is زي ما هو 6 meters. And then here is my rectangle. length 6 والwidth 4. To find the area equals length times width. يعني 6 times 4 which is equals 24 meters squared. And what about the perimeter? البريمتر زي ما قلنا length plus width times 2. يعني 6 plus 4 times 2 which is equals 20 meters. Okay, let's move to problem number 3. Problem number 3, colony C blanket is 3 times as wide as colony A's blanket. 3 times يعني هعملها times 3. But the same length برضو نفس اللينث بتاعي. يبقى الويدث equals what؟ زي ما شايفين 3 times يعني 2 times 3 equals 6 meters. And اللينث بتاعي زي ما هو بالظبط 6 meters. So, and this is my drawing 6 meters and 6 meters. The diagram is very clear. I am sure that all of you now will say that this is a square. Right, that's right. Why? Because the area equals 6 times 6. مش أنا عندي 2 sides 6 يبقى all the sides 6 then this shape is square. طيب how can I calculate the perimeter? Perimeter equals 6 times 2 plus 6 times 2 which is, yes, as you see here, perimeter 6 times 2 plus 6 times 2, 12 plus 12 gives me what? Gives me 24 meters and this is my perimeter of this shape. Now that we have finished the problems and applications in which we use the formulas, rules بتاعت الاريا والperimeter, as well as the idea of multiplicative comparison. Let's move now to the connect on page 190 in your school book. Here we have in page 190, in this page we have this question. Let's see, what conclusion can you make about the areas of two rectangles when the lengths are the same? لما يكون length the same, but the width of one twice as much as the width of the other. لما يكون الوidth قد مرتين الوidth بتاع ال other rectangle. The problems we have solved in the activity will help us in this answer. I will give you some time now to think of it. Now we noticed in the last activity that when the width increases and the length is the same, لما الوidth بيكبر واللينث بيفضل زي ما هو، الاريا بيحصل لها ايه؟ Yes, الاريا increases by the same amount، بنفس الاماونت اللي كبرت بيه الوidth. We noticed this in problem number 2. When the width of colony B's blanket increased to become 2 times as long as that of colony A. Meaning it was 2 meters، يعني هي كانت أصلاً الوidth كانت 2 meters وبقت 4 meters. We will find إن الاريا برضو increased from 2 ل 4 أو increased 2 times as well. لما الوidth كان 2 بقى 4 الاريا برضو increased 2 times. It was الاريا كانت 12 meters وبعدين بقت ايه متر سكوير بقت 24 يعني زادت twice. You can notice this also in colony C's blanket. And now we understand that we must know the dimensions of the rectangle. طبعا لازم نحدد الأول الدايمنشنز بتاع الريكتانجل بتاعي which are الدايمنشنز بتوعي اللي هما اللينث والويدث. قبل ما to find the area and perimeter، قبل ما احسب الاريا والبريمتر بتوعي لازم أكون عارفة الدايمنشنز بتاعتي كويس قوي اللي هما اللينث والويدث. We can have more practice on this in practice on pages 190 and 191. Let's start to do it. Okay, here in problem number 1, as you see here, problem number 1, Adam's rectangle garden is 20 square meters. Okay. The longer side of the garden is 5 meters. Longer side اللي هو length بتاعي is 5 meters. Sketch a drawing of Adam's garden. Then Dahlia's garden is 3 times as long and 3 times as wide as Adam's rectangle garden. Okay, this is Dahlia's garden. 3 times as long وكمان 3 times as wide as Adam's rectangle garden. So what is the perimeter of Dahlia's garden? طيب أنا هعمل إيه؟ Yes, first I will define هحدد بالظبط اللينث والويدث بتوع Adam's garden. We know that اللينث بتاع Adam garden is 5 meter. يبقى اللينث بتاع Adam is 5 meter. طيب والاريا is 20 meter square. الاريا هو مديها لي 20 meter square. عايزة أعمل إيه؟ عايزة أعمل to find the width. So I will divide the area by the length. يبقى عشان أعرف الويدث كام هعمل 20 divided by 5. 20 divided by 5 equals what? Equals 4 meter. يبقى أنا عندي كده اللينث والويدث وهما دول الدايمنشنز بتوعي. Now you can draw the rectangle to show the shape of Adam's garden. تعالوا نرسم الجاردن بتاعت آدم. يبقى هو ده الريكتانجل بتاع آدم جاردن. اللينث بتاعي 5 متر والويدث بتاعي 4. يبقى ده أكيد 5 كمان وده أكيد 4. But let's keep in mind that الدروينج طبعا الدروينج ده is not real. خلاص الدروينج دي حاجة أنا رسمها لو قسناها مش هنلاقيها real dimensions. To help Dahlia calculate عشان تعرف ال perimeter of her garden هعمل إيه؟ Yes لازم أعرف اللينث والويدث. طيب they are 3 times as long و 3 times as wide. Okay as Adam's garden. يعني 3 times اللينث بتاع آدم وكمان 3 times الويدث بتاع آدم. So I will multiply each dimension by 3. يبقى اللينث بتاع داليا equals what? Yes 5 times 3 اللي هي 15 meters. والويدث بتاع داليا برضو 4 times 3 equals 12 meters. يبقى أنا جبت كده اللينث بتاع داليا والويدث بتاع داليا's garden. To find the perimeter مش هو أصلا الquestion عايز ال perimeter of Dahlia's garden. To find the perimeter I will add all the sides. I will add all the sides. هعمل إيه؟ يبقى perimeter equals 15 plus 15 plus 12 plus 12. أنا كده عملت all the sides plus each others. The answer will be 54 meters. يبقى هو ده البريمتر بتاع داليا's garden اللي هو كان عايزه. Now we have studied all of this in the previous lessons. Let's move to problem number 2. Problem number 2 has the same idea بالظبط of the last lesson. نفس الفكرة بالظبط. You can easily solve it by your own. And now let's move to problem number 3. As you see here, problem number 3 on page 191. طيب problem number 3 بتقول لي ايه؟ بتقول لي رامي and صلاح went on a camping trip. رامي وصلاح راحوا trip, camping trip. الدايجرام of their campsite is shown. Okay, ده الكامب سايت بتاعهم. The length of the campsite is 6 times the length of the tent. And the width of the campsite 3 times the width of the tent. طيب السؤال بيقول لي ايه؟ بيقول لي how much room will they have left to set up the rest of their camping gear. يبقى هو عايزين الروم بتاعتهم تبقى قد ايه اللي هيجهزوا فيهم حاجتهم. As you can see in the diagram, هو ده الدايجرام اللي أنا بتكلم عليه. التنت covers part of the campsite area. التنت دي واخدة مكان من الكامب سايت area. طيب عايزة أحسب remaining part هعمل إيه؟ I will calculate the area of the campsite كله على بعضه وبعدين I will subtract from it the area of the tent. هحسب الاريا بتاعت الكامب سايت كله وهعمل ماينس للاريا بتاعت التنت اللي جواه. To calculate the length and the width of the campsite أول حاجة عايزة أعرف اللينث والويدث بتاع الكامبسايت. طيب اللينث of the campsite is what؟ 6 times the length of the tent. هو اللينث بتاع التنت كام أصلاً؟ اللينث بتاع التنت 3. يبقى هعمل 3 times 6. هي 3 times 6 equals what؟ 18 meters. هو ده اللينث بتاعي. طيب تعالوا نشوف الويدث. برضو هعمل 3 times الويدث بتاع التنت. يبقى الويدث بتاعي 3 times 2 equals 6 meters وهو ده الويدث بتاعي. The area of the campsite equals what? Yes, الاريا هعمل بقى 18 times 6. Okay. يبقى this is 18 and this is 6. To find the area, مش الاريا كلنا عارفين length times width يعني 18 times 6. هي 18 times 6 equals what? Yes, 18 times 6. طب هعملها ازاي؟ ممكن بقى دلوقتي استخدم الاستراتيجي اللي احنا عرفناها قبل كده اللي هي اسمها ايه؟ break up and bridge. break up and bridge strategy عشان اعرف الاوتكم او الانسر بتاعي. طيب 18 ممكن اعملها 10 plus 8 واعمل 10 times 6 plus 8 times 6. ممكن اعمل 10 times 6 plus 8 times 6. So my answer is 108 meter square and this is my area. This is the whole area of the shape. خلاص الاريا اللي انا جبتها دي الهول اريا كلها. طيب هو انا عايزه الهول اريا كلها ولا لازم اعمل ماينس الاريا بتاعت التنت؟ يس. طب هي الاريا بتاعت التنت equals what؟ يس. تعالوا كده نشوف الاريا بتاعت التنت. area of the tent equals length times width اللي هي 2 times 3 أو 3 times 2 equals 6 meter squared. وبعدين هعمل إيه؟ هعمل الهول area minus الاريا بتاعت التنت. يبقى الاريا equals 108 minus الاريا بتاعت التنت equals 102 meter square وهو ده الاريا اللي أنا عايزاها. Now, in problem number 4, as you see here, we have practiced solving similar problems during our lesson. عملنا زيها بالظبط في اللسن بتاعنا. So I will leave it for you to solve it on your own way. And let's move to say a summary in our lesson today. In our lesson today, we learned how to solve problems and applications on perimeter and area. And we use multiplicative comparison to calculate the unknown dimension. We can solve more problems and see more applications through the section Check Your Understanding using the code of page or on page 186, which appears on the screen. We are almost done with Unit 4. احنا دلوقتي خلصنا Unit 4 today, through which we got acquainted with the method of calculating area and perimeter, and we solved a lot of problems and ideas on them. By the end of our lesson, we will have reached the end of Theme 1. خلصنا كده Theme 1 كله in our curriculum. Now we reach the interdisciplinary project in which we will apply our skills in science and math to solve a real-life problem. At first, we will read about the characters of STEM explorers, and after that, we will learn with the help of our class teacher about the problem and its related activities to find the solution. I will always be interested to see you apply all that we have learned together in order to come up with innovative solutions. The time passed very quickly and we reached the end of our theme 1, which was titled اللي كان اسمه numerical sense, and we learned in it اتعلمنا فيه place value and large numbers. After that we used a lot of strategies. خدنا strategies كتيرة قوي في addition و subtraction operations, and we moved to concepts of measurements, and through it we learned تعلمنا كمان metric units, and we solved a lot of problems and applications on them. And at the end we learned تعلمنا كمان area perimeter rules and used them in solving different problems. All of what we have learned through Ant's life, in which our friends Omar and Maryam, who were very interested in studying ants, helped us. Will they be with us in the second theme? تفتكروا عمر ومريم هيبقوا معانا في second theme? That's what we'll know in the next lessons. Thank you so much and goodbye.